Hey guys, welcome to a new Nashville Masterclass. I am your host, James Aragorn May. This is the time where I plead for you to please like and subscribe to my channel so I don't look like a fool to all my friends. Today, we're going to get into the subject of toxic relationships. I think everybody's experienced toxic relationships in their life. I think personally, they've experienced them personally. We've all seen them. And it's beguiling why people don't get out of toxic relationships until we're in one ourselves. So we're going to go over the whys and hows and stuff. But when we think of a toxic relationship, we almost always think of romantic relationships, but certainly those are not the only toxic relationships. There's platonic toxic relationships, friends that are not good for us, that we just keep around for punishment, family members, especially in this divided day and age, especially in politics. I wish I'd stop saying especially. But just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to my cousin who I'm very close to, and he just would not stop talking shit about me and my political beliefs. And I told him very kindly, let's not talk about things that divide us, let's talk about things that we connect with. But he wasn't hearing it. So I hung up and blocked him, because I'm not putting up with that crap. Celebrities. Oh my God. People have terrible toxic relationships with celebrities. Kanye West acting like a complete fool, right? We just saw this with Pete Davidson and his ex, and because people liked a song he wrote, they just supported him and defended him. They don't know him. They've never met him personally. The things he was doing was very obviously wrong, and people still stood up for him. I mean, I'm no big Pete Davidson fan, but what he was doing is just unreal. And people just put up with it. And his ex too. What has she ever really done? Is she an actress? Comedian? Philanthropist? She really hasn't been. She's never done anything other than be Bruce Jenner's kid, and they did a show. And people just will love any and everything she does. We have a tendency of looking at celebrities and thinking of and because of a movie they were in that really touched us, a song that helped us through a hard time, we defend these celebrities like we know them. But that is incredibly naive. I think most people have already figured out one of my favorite bands is Tool. I know how insufferable Maynard James Keenan can be. I don't have these delusions, but I certainly have before. Another toxic relationship, social media, where we get on these sites and every time it upsets us, we get in arguments in the comment section, YouTube as well, but we continue and continue, and someone will say, why do you keep going on there? You know it's just going to make you angry. And you're like, oh, I know, I should stop. But you don't. You continue on. And especially with romantic toxic relationships, addicts, trauma victims, we are, it's like predisposed to getting into toxic relationships. But why? We have enough problems in our life. Why stack on more? Well, there is no one reason, but a lot of things boil down to self-esteem. Drug addicts, I remember thinking, I'm worthless. So when I got a girlfriend who was incredibly schizophrenic, I, for some reason, stated she put me through hell. And I'm not going to hear anybody say you just blaming other people on your problems. Just shut up a second. You weren't there. She did. She put me through hell and put me in a lot of situations that I would not have been in for any other reason. I stayed on the streets of Los Angeles on Skid Row instead of coming home, where I would have had a place to go and people that loved me, because I thought I needed to stay with her and protect her. Another thing is wanting to be wanted. That's a very natural human emotion, right? We all want to be wanted by somebody. We pretend we're cool and we're fine, and there's a lot of talk about loving yourself and I love being alone now, and I just love. That's all fine and good, but people want to be wanted. It doesn't matter about loving yourself. People want to be wanted by somebody. Believing false narratives that we put in our head. Like for me, if I left that girl, she would die. She would not be able to survive, which was not true. We also believe, like I said before, that's the best we can do. If we leave this relationship, we're going to be all alone for the rest of our lives. I stayed with that girl for years. And what it took is I went home, and that's when I found my mother dead on the floor. So I had to stay. And my dad and stepmom locked me up and forced me to withdraw off methadone. It only took a month and a half to see that years of staying with this woman were just ridiculous. I thought I needed, it only took a month and a half to clear my head to where I understood that this woman was very wrong for me, and I never went back. Another reason is loneliness. If someone's been alone for a while and they failed at other relationships, sometimes they take the first thing that comes their way. And usually the first thing that comes your way is someone who is trying to manipulate you. And the manipulation keeps us under a spell of sorts. And especially with drug addicts, it comes down to using each other, right? You don't have a place to go. Oh, you found a girlfriend with an apartment. She's looking for dope and she has a horrible hookup, but you have the best one. So now you both have a reason to stay with each other. And even when it becomes toxic, you stay in that situation because you're using each other and feeding off each other. So what do you do to get someone out of a toxic relationship? Well, I'm here to tell you, you can't. I mean, there may be times when you're just at the right moment and say the right thing in a light goes on in their head. But for the most part, you can't talk someone out of it, right? Have you ever tried? They can't see what you're seeing. They think that you can't see what they're seeing. They think that, well, we all heard this before, oh, you don't know them. When they're by themselves, they're really gentle, they're sweet, they need me to take care of them. And there's always this just complete BS that when they finally do split up or separated, they're just fine, right? They are just fine and they do better without each other. Talking people out of toxic relationships is really not even worth the heartache. Because what happens is when you have somebody that's in a toxic relationship with someone else and it hurts you so much to see this, now you're in a toxic relationship, right, with your friend or whoever, family member. Now this has become a toxic relationship for you. But I am going to tell you that if you're currently in a toxic relationship, and we all know in the back of our mind that this is just, they put us through crap. Oh, but I love them. I am going to tell you right now that if you separate from whatever is causing this heartache, you are going to be just fine. Family members, like, these are my close family members. It's kind of hard with family members, right? These are the kind of people that at the very most, we don't want to separate forever, but I'm definitely not talking to my cousin for a while. I am separating myself, and either he can understand he was in the wrong, but as long as he continues doing this, I'm just going to keep away. But friends that are like this, just stop. Stop for a while and see how much better your life becomes. If you have just this fixation on a celebrity, why don't you really do some more homework on who they are, what they do? They say never meet your heroes. I mean, how many of these celebrities, except for John Bon Jovi, go out and, are on soup lines, help pick up litter, volunteer. They'll throw money at a few causes just so they look good, but what good do they really do? That's the things you need to look at. And loving yourself, like I said before, everybody wants to be wanted. But loving yourself is not, some people, like I said before, take it as loving yourself, you don't need anybody else. That's incorrect. If you love yourself, you will not fall into these toxic relationships because you're going to know what you are worth. You're going to understand that being in a toxic relationship is not something you're going to stay in because you don't have problems with your self-esteem. You know what you're worth. You want to be wanted, but you know there's someone out there that will treat you better. You won't fall for these lies and false narratives. You'll see the manipulation coming. It also helps with loneliness. It doesn't cure loneliness. And also, if you're loving yourself, you're doing the right things for yourself, where you don't need another party to fill this void. You are taking care of yourself. You don't need money from this other person. You don't need a place to stay. You need to be in a place where you don't need anything from anybody else, and only then can you really find a person and bond with them in a way that is conducive to both of you being happy. You're not using each other. You don't need anything from each other except the companionship and love. It's not only a human, but it's just in all life, plants and animals. We need others to survive. Right? We need others. Even if you're just a human being walking alone, you need plants, you need other animals to survive. And being alone forever, I don't care how much you love yourself, is something no human wants. And we do know from prisons that separating people from others, keeping somebody isolated, causes mental illness, will cause someone to fall in on themselves. So we do need other people. So my whole advice on the topic is, if you're already in a toxic relationship, you need to go somewhere by yourself and really look at what's going on. Even take a piece of paper and pen and write, why do you need this person? Is it for material needs? Because if it is, that's not a relationship based on love, is it? And if you have toxic relationships with your friends, family members, celebrities, social media, then instead of just saying, yeah, I know, you should really stop for a month with anything. Stop listening or watching movies with a celebrity you love. Stop the social media site for a month. Family members, friends, separate yourself entirely for a month and see how things change. And that's the best thing you can do for yourself, because I can promise you this: the longer you stay in a toxic relationship, the longer you're kind of wasting time in your life instead of being with the person who loves you back for who you are. That we don't get those minutes, hours, days, weeks, years back. We don't get them back. They're gone. And a lot of times it is just a circle over and over, walking the track of the same crap we do every day. And it really demeans us. It makes us think we're worth less than what we are. And addicts and trauma victims are they're more susceptible to getting in toxic relationships for obvious reasons. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and I will catch you guys on the next one.